Hi guys, this is Miss Natalie. I am a UL student and I am a early childhood education major, so I'm studying to be a teacher. I'm part of the Kappa Delta Pi Education Society, and today I'm going to be doing a read aloud for you. Okay, after I read the book, we actually might read two books, but after I read the book, we're going to do an activity. I will have a link on this video that your parent should be able to help you find. If you have a printer, you can go ahead and print out the activity. That way you have it for at the end of us reading the book. If you don't have a printer, that's still okay. I'll have a slide where I show you the materials that you'll need, and we can do it that way. So I have different options for you guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started with reading our first book. This is a book that I used to read when I was little, and I don't know why it was one of my favorite books. I think I liked the pictures maybe, and like it's just a cute little story. It's called Caps for Sale. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen with you. That way you can see the book as I'm reading it. Um, and then I might ask you some questions. I know I won't be able to hear you, but just it'll be food for thought. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now, and we can start reading. So here is the book. It is Caps for Sale. It's a tale of a peddler, some monkeys, and their monkey business. Okay. This is the first page when you open it. And yes, I did take all of these pictures. It took some time, but I wanted to do it for you guys. Okay, so here we go. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like any ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, then a bunch of red caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, then a bunch of red caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, then a bunch of red caps, then a bunch of red caps, then a bunch of blue caps. I want to see if anyone can remember how many caps there are of each color. I'll ask you at the end, and we'll see if you can remember. Okay, let's keep going. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" So here he is walking down the town streets, and he's selling his caps. One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he. And he walked out of the town slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. So there he goes. He's walking out to the country. You can see this big building right here. And those hats are very, very straight. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there. So he went to sleep. Okay, so here he is up next to this big old tree. He's sleeping. The hats are there. I wonder what's going to happen. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. Ooh, what do we notice? I wonder where all of his caps went. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. Any ideas where you think his caps might have gone? He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in the back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree. And what do you think he saw? I wonder what he saw. Remember what we said the story was about in the beginning? What could be in that tree? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. So here all these monkeys are. They took all his caps. They were sitting up in that tree. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. You monkeys, you, he said, shaking his finger at them. You give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, tis, tis, tis. Seems like they're copying him, huh? This made the peddler angry, so he shook both of his hands at them and said, You monkeys, you give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, Tis, tis, tis. Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his feet and he said, You monkeys, you better give me back my caps. But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, Tis, 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 tis. By this time, the peddler was very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, You monkeys, you give me back my caps. But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, Tis, tis, tis. At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, uh-oh, and all the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So they were copying him. They were doing everything that he was doing. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First, his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. The end. So he finally got his caps back after he had his little monkey business going on with monkeys in the tree. Okay? So I really like that story. It's one of my favorites. So we're going to go ahead and do an activity. I'll give you a few minutes to get your supplies that you need. I'll go ahead and share my screen with you again real quick. Okay. So this was the book that we just read, Caps for Sale. And this is going to be the activity that we do. So here is the link right here. Okay, that's going to be, again, like I said, at the bottom of the YouTube video. If you need parents' help, just go ahead and ask them right now. If you have it, you'll need some glue, some scissors, some colors, and a sheet of paper. If you don't have a printer, you might want to grab 2 pieces of paper, or you can just grab one and you can do like Miss Natalie did. I'm going to show you my example in a second. So once you click on that link, this is what it's going to show up. So it's a activity called Stack the Caps. So here we have all of the caps from the story, and we have the peddler. Okay, so he's got his little cap on right here too, and all you need to do is color the caps. Now, remember I said I was going to ask you some questions about the story and see if you guys remember. I can't hear you, but if you would like to comment how many brown caps, how many blue caps, how many red caps, and how many gray caps there were, you can give me your answer to that. Okay, so here are the caps. If you want to color them different colors, you may. You can color them however you want. You can give the peddler a new outfit if you wanted to, make him look real fancy. Totally up to you. You do whatever you want. Now, Miss Natalie decided that since she didn't have a printer, she was going to have to draw hers. Okay, now Miss Natalie is not an artist, and I am not very good at drawing people. Okay, so Miss Natalie had to draw a stick man. Okay, so here is the peddler. He's got his little hat on. Okay, and then here we have all of his caps. Now, Miss Natalie is a girl, so I enjoy bright, fun, girly colors. Okay, so I did a bright pink right here. I did some bubblegum blue, and then I did some cotton candy pink, and then I did some nice purple right here. Okay, so I did the same amount of caps that the peddler had in the story. So if you're going to draw yours, I want you to do the same thing. He needs to have the same amount of caps. Okay. Now, the only thing I didn't do was give him a nice little outfit. I did give him his mustache. I did do that. So you go ahead and do that, and I will give you a few more minutes to kind of work on that activity. If you want to pause the video, that would be great. You can do that. That way you have more time to spend creating your masterpieces. And then whenever you are finished with them, with parent permission, you can go ahead and email a picture of your activity to Miss Natalie. Miss Natalie will have her email up here, so that way your parents can help you do that. We're going to read, okay? All right, so hopefully you got that wrapped up, and we can go ahead and start reading the next book that I have for you. Again, I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to read Mama Provi and the Pot of Rice. I had never read this book before until I found it the other day, so I thought it would be interesting to read it with you guys. Oops, we're upside down. All right. So I just wanted to point this out. I thought this was really cool. This right here, it says this book is the property of, and the person who owns the book can put the state, the province, the country, the parish, the school district, all that good information. And this is where people can put their names, the year that they checked it out, when they checked it out, when they returned it, the condition it was in. This used to be on a lot of books when I was growing up. They don't have them on there as much anymore. Some libraries just don't do that, but this used to be how we checked out books. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out because I know it's not something that you see all the time. Okay, so let's go ahead and read it. Mama Provi and the Pot of Rice. I noticed that there's a lot of different doors right here. It kind of looks like an apartment complex. All right. Mama Provi lived on the first floor of a tall apartment building. Her granddaughter Lucy, who was 6 years old, lived with her parents on the eighth floor of the very same building. Okay, so I was right. This is an apartment complex. Here's Mama Provi and her little granddaughter Lucy. Okay. Twice a month, Lucy spent the night at Mama Provi's. They played games and listened to old scratchy records. At bedtime, Lucy always begged Mama Provi for a story. Mama Provi wove marvelous tales about when she was a little girl growing up in Puerto Rico with her 5 brothers and 4 sisters. Wow. Lucy fell asleep to stories filled with palm trees, sweet mangoes, and tiny tree frogs called coquis. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, feel free to let me know. But that's pretty cool. So let's see. Does anyone know what a record is? If you don't, a record is it's kind of like a giant CD, and you put it on a record player, and they have this little needle that you place on top of the record, and when it starts spinning, it starts playing the music. So it's similar to a CD. It's just a bigger um, contraption, I guess you can call it, and that's how they used to play music. Okay. In the morning, Lucy helped Mama Provi cook breakfast. It was always a tremendous feast because Mama Provi didn't know how to cook for only 2 people. In her big family, she had been taught to cook for a dozen people at one time. That's pretty interesting. She had said in the previous page that she had 5 brothers and 4 sisters. So that's a lot of people that you have to feed. I know I didn't have 5 brothers and 4 sisters, but my mom and dad, anytime they cooked, they always made so much food that we had leftovers. And if no one else came over to eat that night, we just had to eat it the next day for lunch or whatever, whenever it was still good. So I know some families do that still. One Saturday, Lucy's mama called to say that Lucy had the chicken pox and would not be able to visit that evening. Lucy was very sad. Mama Provi wondered what she could do to cheer her up. Before long, Mama Provi had a wonderful idea. Lucy always said that Mama Provi made the best rice with chicken in the whole world. And so, Mama Provi took out her largest pot and set out to make the most delicious arroz con pollo ever. This book helps you work on some of those Spanish words. When the rice had cooled just enough, Mama Provi packed the pot in an enormous shopping bag. She locked her door and started up the stairs to the 8th floor. Mama Provi never, ever rode the elevator. The pot of rice was heavy, and it was not long before Mama Provi had to stop to catch her breath. She was resting on the 2nd floor when a wondrous smell tickled her nose. She recognized the aroma instantly, and without giving it another thought, she knocked briskly on apartment 2B. I wonder what she's smelling. Someone must be cooking something in that apartment, huh? Miss Landers opened the door. "Excuse me for bothering you, Miss Landers, but is that your crusty white bread that I smell?" Mama Provi asked. Miss Landers said it was. "I wonder if you would trade a bit of your bread for a bowl of my arroz con pollo. I am taking this rice to Lucy, who is sick with the chicken pox, and a piece of your bread would go so well with it." Okay, so it seems like she's gonna end up finding different side dishes and things of sort to bring up to Lucy. So by the end of the story, Lucy might have a big meal to eat. So let's keep reading. Let's see if I'm right. Miss Landers was only too pleased to make the trade, for she also loved Mama Provi's arroz con pollo. En un dos por tres, which in Spanish means something like lickety split. Miss Landers wrapped up a large chunk of her Mama Provi had not gone very far when she again stopped to catch her breath, this time on the third floor. Again, a delightful smell tickled her nose. She recognized the aroma and, without giving it another thought, knocked briskly on apartment 3E. Senor Rivera answered the door. Excuse me for bothering you, Senor Rivera, but are those your frijoles negros that I smell? Mama Proby asked. Senor Rivera said they were. I wonder if you would trade a bit of your black beans for a bowl of the arroz con polo I have in this pot. I am taking this rice to Lucy, who is sick with the chicken pox, and your beans would go so well with the rice. Senor Rivera was only too pleased to make the trade. En un dos por tres, he poured a generous helping of his beans into a container and exchanged it for a bowl of Mama Provy's rice. When Mama Provey reached the fourth floor, she was surprised to find Miss Bazzini from apartment 4C waiting for her. Miss Landers called to tell me that you have a large pot of arroz con polo that you are taking to Lucy, said Miss Bazzini. I was wondering if you would trade a bowl for some of my fresh green salad. Mama Provy agreed immediately. A nice tossed salad would indeed go very well with her arroz con polo. So, in un dos por tres, Miss Bazzini exchanged a bowl of salad for a bowl of Mama Proby's rice. After thanking Miss Bazzini, Mama Proby continued up the stairs, carrying the pot of rice, the chunk of bread, the container of black beans, and the bowl of salad. So now she's got her hands full. She's got all these different dishes to take up there. Having given away so much of her rice, Mama Proby was amazed that her shopping bag was still so heavy. She was resting on the fifth floor when a heavenly smell tickled her nose. She recognized the aroma instantly and knocked briskly on apartment 5A. Miss Johnson opened the door. Excuse me for bothering you, Miss Johnson, but are those your collard greens that I smell? Mama Proby asked. Miss Johnson said they were. I wonder if you would trade a bit of those greens for a bowl of the arroz con polo I have in this pot. I am taking this rice to Lucy, who is sick with the chicken pox, and your collard greens would go so well with the rice. En un dos por tres, Miss Johnson wrapped up a generous portion of her collard greens and exchanged it for a bowl of Mama Proby's rice. When Mama Proby reached the sixth floor, she bumped straight into Miss Woe. Miss Bazzini called to say that Lucy is ill with the chicken pox, said Miss Woe. Please take this tea to her. I hope it will make her feel better. Mama Proby asked Miss Woe if she liked a bowl of arroz con polo, but Miss Woe said she would wait until next time Mama Proby made her tasty rice. After thanking Miss Woe, Mama Proby continued up the stairs carrying the pot of rice, the chunk of bread, the container of black beans, the bowl of salad, the generous portion of collard greens, and the pot of tea. So now she has 6 things that she's bringing up to Lucy. She has the pot of rice, the chunk of bread, the container of black beans, the bowl of salad, the collard greens, and the pot of tea. So she's got a really, really nice meal that Lucy's about to have. On the 7th floor, Mama Proby stopped and to rearrange her shopping bag. Another enchanting smell tickled her nose. She recognized it instantly and knocked briskly on apartment 7C. Miss Kelly answered the door. Excuse me for bothering you, Miss Kelly, but is that your apple pie that I smell? Mama Proby asked. Miss Kelly said it was. I wonder if you would trade a sliver of your delicious apple pie for a bowl of the arroz con polo I have in this pot. I am taking this rice to Lucy, who is sick with the chicken pox, and your apple pie would make such a nice dessert. Miss Kelly was only too pleased to make the trade, and she exchanged a healthy slice of her apple pie for a bowl of Mama Provey's rice. Although Mama Provi had given away quite a bit of her arroz con pollo, her shopping bag was still very heavy. She had finally reached the eighth floor and had stopped to catch her breath when a delicious, heavenly, enchanting, wondrous, delightful odor tickled her nose. It was her arroz con pollo, Miss Lander's freshly baked bread, Senor Rivera's black beans, Miss Bazzini's green salad, Miss Johnson's collard greens, Miss Woe's tea, Miss Kelly's apple pie. Without giving it another thought, she knocked briskly on apartment 8F. Lucy answered the door. She was covered with spots. Excuse me for bothering you, but are you the little girl who is sick with the chicken pox and cannot come to visit her grandmother? Lucy said she was, and then hugged Mama Provi as hard as she could. So here she is. She's got all her little chicken pox on her. Mama Provi pointed to the enormous shopping bag. Together they carried it into the apartment, and en dos por tres, they set up a tremendous feast. Let's eat, said Mama Provi, and that's exactly what they did. The end. So that's pretty cool. I like how on her way up to bringing Lucy her food that she made for her, she ended up finding all of the neighbors were cooking different things and they were excited to make a trade with her. I've never had that happen, but I kind of wish that would have happened to me because then they just had a big old feast or at least be able to participate in that. Have you ever thought about maybe cooking dinner or lunch for maybe your neighbor who wasn't feeling well? Or maybe a friend that wasn't feeling well? Or even your mom or your dad. It doesn't even have to be anyone outside of the house. It could be in your own house. Because I'm pretty sure your mom and dad like to cook a lot for you. So what if they were sick one day and they needed you to cook for them? You think you would be able to do it? I have faith that you would be able to do it. I think you could. All right. So that is the end of that story. That is actually all that I have for this video today. So we read those 2 books. We did that one activity. And again, if you have parent permission, okay, you can email Miss Natalie a picture of your drawing or your activity sheet that you cut out and made. Okay, I would love to see them. Okay, so I will put my email in the bottom of this video. That way your parents can see it and they will help you send it to me. Okay, it was awesome reading with you guys. I loved it. I know I can't see you and I couldn't hear you, but feel free to leave comments and tell me how you liked it. Okay, bye.